I've met a lot of people over the course of the last several months, especially since I wrote the book, who, have said, I blame myself. I just met a woman about a month ago. I was out shopping, and, she turned the corner in the aisle, and she encountered me. She says, "Oh, my God, it's you. I've been trying to figure out how to get a hold of you." And she says, and then she started, proceeded to tell me her story. She's known that her husband's gay for 10 years. And he's been in and out of the house and living with other men, and comes back home. And she says, well, I'd rather have him home than be alone. But she's always wondering where he is when he's not home. And she says, she said to me, well, perhaps if I had, kept the house neater, or, if I dressed a little better, or used more makeup. And I said to her, there was nothing you could have done that would have changed him. Right. And I've heard that story over and over again. Fortunately for me, I didn't feel that way. I knew that, it was nothing that I had done, and I certainly couldn't have changed, who he is. But
did you feel anger or frustration that he could never communicate to you what he was really feeling? Did you harbor any resentment toward him that he wasn't honest about his sexuality?
Oh, absolutely. I would hope that he would have, been honest from the beginning, but obviously he wanted to get elected governor. That had been his goal, for many years. And he thought that he had to have a family in order to achieve that. He had to get married and have, what I call the perfect looking family. That's what he had been, raised to believe.
In a way, it's sad when you realize that in order to live the American dream, or to reach the American dream, that you almost have to live a false life. Do you likewise, while you have some anger or resentment or frustration, do you likewise have compassion for him? Or is it tough at this point?
It's very tough. Initially, I did have a lot of compassion, and I actually felt pity for him. But his behavior since all this transpired, it has made it very difficult for me to feel compassion at this time.
Now we have to talk about that, because you detail it in the book about his behavior once he made the announcement. Most of us would probably imagine that he would be as remorseful as could be, and the first words out of his mouth once the two of you were alone would be, "Dina, I'm so sorry." Have you heard that yet?
Well, his only attempt at an apology was coming into a room after I complained to his friends that he'd never apologized, and saying, "For the record, I'm sorry." No, I'm sorry. For the record, I apologize. And it was like another slap in the face. I'd rather him have not said anything, because it certainly wasn't heartfelt. Or
would it have been easier for you to get through this very difficult period if he at least said to you, "I didn't do this on purpose, I'm sorry, I'll do whatever I can to help you through this"? Would that have made a difference?
Absolutely, it would have made a difference. I expected to be divorced within a 3-month period or less. There was no reason for that. And I would, I had hoped that he would, help me with Jacqueline make the transition. And, for him that day, he held the press conference, and it was a big burden that was lifted off his shoulders. And I was left, to sort of pick up the pieces.
So he came out and then went out and essentially
Exactly.
stayed out
Yes.
of your life after
Absolutely.
that August announcement.
Absolutely. Just, days after the announcement, he said, "Well, I won't have a job, so you have to go out and get, health insurance for you and Jacqueline."
See, I think that would shock people who saw him on the campaign trail, as I did for many, many years, and the compassion and the consideration that he had for the constituency and the concern that he had for their well-being. When I read in your book that he did not, according to your account, show that same kind of consideration for his wife and his daughter, it was very disturbing
Yes.
to me.
Well, it's like I look at him now, and it's looking at, at a stranger, a complete stranger.